the probability is that there is going to be a further error. Something bad will happen because we've done nothing. Now, this is the incident, and this is really, we're going to come back to this in threat and area management, so I'm not going to spend more time on it. You need to look at it and link it in with, write a little note in the corner. This links in. Your words, my words, should be, this links in with threat and area management. Right, and then go on to threat and area management, and you'll see how it links in. So the incident, the contact, undesired standards, practices, and conditions. Each incident provides opportunity to obtain new information. This is absolutely what in the 1990s, Robert Helmrich, H-E-L-M-R-E-I-C-H, do you want me to spell it again? H-E-L-M-E-R-I-C-H. Robert Helmrich from the University of Texas began to draft the ideas for threat and area management. Where did he get these ideas from? Prof. Hunt's view, he got them from this guy, Frank Bird, 30 years earlier, 20 years earlier. Okay, so number three, number 4, number 5, threat and area management. Look at that. Did you see it? Do you want me to do it again? Just like that. It took me 10 hours. I love it. Sure you don't want to say it again? Swiss cheese. This is an idea of a whole series of hazards in your workplace. A whole series of things which, if not managed, can blow up. Some of these hazards are not very obvious. Some of these hazards are what we call latent hazards. They are there, but we don't know that they were there. In fact, we don't know until after the event. And when the accident investigators say what went wrong, we find out that there were things that were being done which were bad. Ways in which people were doing things and carrying out their activities which were bad, which were unsafe. But nobody knew it was unsafe. It needed some other things to actually come together, to actually cause the thing to blow up, to become unsafe. So we call it failed or absent defences. Latent, it's there. It's, if you have a latent disease, most of us, hopefully none of us will have cancer, but people who get cancer do not know from the very first second that they've got cancer. The cancer is in the system, and they don't know until such time as it builds up, and then creates the measurable damage that cancer and other illnesses can cause. So this is the idea of these latent failures is exactly the same kind of thinking that Reason had. In the Reason model, he talks about issues with it. This is how accidents happen. This is the beginning of. This is where accident investigation historically focuses on. It's the crumpled airplane. It's the crashed car. It's a burned down building. it's a dead person on the street. And invariably and historically, we've said the person, the pilot, the maintenance engineer, whoever, caused this to happen. And the person caused it to happen because they were stupid, they didn't care, they didn't know, all of these error-based reasons. But reason, like Frank Bird, like Norman before him, said, no, 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 no. We can't blame people doing unsafe acts. There has to be a reason why people commit unsafe acts. And the reason is either because of the errors and violations that they have been committing before this event took place, or it's something that's been going on in the workplace, in the factory, in the hangar, in operations, and those things have been what we technically call error and violation producing conditions. Conditions, what's a condition? It's something that you have that's been given or denied you in carrying out your job. So in the workplace, there are things that are given you or denied you that you find a way around it, or you ignore, or whatever, that create or lead to this leading to the unsafe act. But now we're becoming very much more aware that if you keep going back and back and back in terms of how did this event really happen, you come to here. Organisation, culture, and management processes. It's very often the organisation, it may be the culture of the country, but it's way, way back from the unsafe act. And if you remember when we looked in Module 1, we looked at Tenerife, we looked at Air New Zealand, we looked at Chernobyl. We didn't actually look at Chernobyl, but Chernobyl was another event. And the reasons why those huge accidents took place. What about these things here? You know, take the case of the Air New Zealand accident. And some of you will say to me, Air New Zealand accident, what on earth are you talking about? What was the Air New Zealand accident? What did it hit? What did the DC-10 airplane hit? Mountain, Mount Erebus. Where was Mount Erebus? In the Antarctic by McMurdo Sound. How did it happen? What was the error and violation? The pilot was flying at 10,000 feet. Mount Erebus, I think, is about 14,000 feet. The aeroplane hit. I was going to say the top of Mount Erebus. It wasn't the top of it, it was halfway down Mount Erebus. And so the first Accident Investigation Commission said the pilot violated company procedures. He was flying too low. That decision was overturned by a Royal Commission, which said, yeah, this is a bad thing. But this was caused by management process. And what was the management process? Management wanted to create tourist flights, particularly for Japanese tourists, to fly from New Zealand to the Antarctic. And if you pay a huge sum of money to go to the Antarctic, what do you want to see? You want to see the Antarctic, don't you? You don't want to see clouds. We can see clouds anywhere, right? So what do you have to do? You have to fly low, right? To see the ground, to see the snow, to see the Antarctic. So the company were very happy to build a successful tourist adventure flight where they knew the pilots flew at about 10,000 feet. What happened was in here where they changed the navigation, ANS navigation system by 2 degrees, and they didn't tell the pilot what they had done. And so the pilot assumed that the nav system was the same as he was briefed for, and not headed straight for a mountain. So the company actually created the environment, one by saying, if you want to fly low, that's okay, because these tourists are paying thousands of dollars for the experience of seeing the Antarctic. And by the way, we may from time to time change the nav system, but we won't tell you. And if you're going to hit a mountain, bad luck. You know, if it actually said that, even more outrageous. But that's what happened. Go back and read, go onto Wikipedia and read Air New Zealand Mount Erebus. It's classic in terms of this model. Look at Tenerife, classic. Look at Chernobyl, classic. I think we will be. Look at the last year, 2010, the deep sea well, Deepwater Horizon accident. Same. Look at and watch over the next few months about the ship that was capsized in the Greek islands. Yeah, exactly the same kind of causation. This is very important. We're talking about errors. We keep saying errors, and I heard you keep saying, well, what are the errors? What are all errors exactly the same? And the answer is no, they're not. And here, the types of errors that we look at, this is normal. Right? This is where you need to feed in this bit of information with the previous bit of information. We talked about Norman talking about slips and mistakes. And here is Reason now talking about skill-based slips and mistakes. And he's doing what Norman was doing, and slightly more detailed. He says that there are 2 kinds of skill-based slips. One's about a slip of attention, perception errors, and one that I often use, or one that I don't use, often think about. Have you ever, maybe you haven't, but I have, late at night, I've been to a meeting or something, maybe I've been teaching you guys, it's slightly different from the car park here, but it's night, and you know roughly where you left your car, and I drive a Hyundai, and mine's silver, and roughly where I left my Hyundai is another silver Hyundai, and I get out my key to try and open the door, and it doesn't work, and I think, that's crazy. Why is it not working? Right? That's a slip. That's a perception. I'm thinking I'm where my car is. I'm not where my car is at all. Now, if somebody had shaken me and said, do you know where you left your car? I probably, in most occasions, would say, yeah. Do you think this is the place where you left your car? No. Right? It's a slip. And those lead to many of the minor errors that we make that, if not addressed, can lead to a major event. Lapses of memory, I just forgot. I forgot. Did I ever know? Yep, but I forgot. A lapse of memory, checklist. I forgot to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got to 6 and I thought I knew the rest of it, and I got to 8 or 9, but I forgot. I forgot 2 steps in the checklist. I made a very bad mistake. Now, mistakes are interesting because they are either rule-based, and this is very James reason. They are either a mistake in a rule, and a mistake in a rule is either you know what the rule is, but you did not do it. You did not follow the rule, and you created a mistake. Or, and I haven't clearly shown this, but the reverse of that is the rule that you followed was incorrect. The rule that you followed maybe was incorrect for this piece of equipment or for this moment. For example, and I haven't got it on the slides here, I show a picture of a Cessna, the 6-seater Cessna, I can't remember what model it was, twin engine, and about 10 years ago in New Zealand, this aeroplane just took off from a small airfield, and the pilots, 2 crew, had been flying the aeroplane for, I don't know, 2 hours or something. It was about the 3rd leg in their duties that day, and they were just taking off and ran out of fuel. And the aeroplane crashed. And the investigators could not understand how this could possibly happen because they had refueled the aeroplane at the last airport. How could it run out of fuel? The error was very, very simple. The way of cross-feeding from one tank to another was completely the reverse for the same model of aeroplane that had been flying earlier in the day. So they had, the rule was inappropriate for that aeroplane. In fact, the issue was there shouldn't have been 2 different ways of doing it in the same type of aeroplane. So the pilots actually turned off the fuel, and the aeroplane crashed, I think, about 8 minutes after takeoff. So that's a rule-based mistakes. Knowledge-based mistakes, much more tricky, but in my view, much rarer, much less likely to occur. Because if you ask the person, if you could ask a person after an accident, maybe even after they've been killed, did you have the knowledge to save yourself? Did you know, if your life depended on it, and if you're dead, obviously your life did depend on it, could you have averted the error? And I think 9 out of 10 times, the answer is yes, they could have. So it's very rare that somebody makes a big error because they could not do it. And they could not do it very often is a particular new system or procedure that they haven't been briefed about, that they don't know enough about. So that's where they could not do it comes into play. A little slide that I hope kind of summarises what I've been talking about is and I think we talked about this model, I think, I can't remember, when we were talking about competency. And this model, the model itself, is this is the content of what you know. The content when you analyse it is made up of facts, concepts, rules and procedures. This is very, very simple. And the next question is, what can you do with facts, concepts, rules and procedures? What can you do with that content that you've learned? where you can remember it, you can apply or use it, or you can use it at much higher level, problem solving. So there's a simple level, remember a fact. Remember concepts, rules and procedures. Use, apply. You can't use, apply a fact. Alright? So use concepts, rules, procedures, and finally solve problems. Now, what I'm saying is, on this side, I've called this skill-based. In terms of competent people, they become automatic. You have eye-hand coordination. When you're driving a car, riding a motorbike, you don't analyse all the things that you have to do, clutch out on a motorbike and so on. It's got manual gears. You do it automatically. It's skill that is being built into how you perform. At the other end, knowledge-based, and I've used the word conscious as opposed to automatic. You're not thinking when you're doing this automatically, you're not thinking, it's automatic. When it's conscious, you're thinking about the rules and the procedures, you're thinking about the knowledge that you're applying. You're actively engaged in problem solving. You're actively engaged in the application of problem solving of the knowledge. All right, I'm going to stop here for a break. 15 minutes. Let's be back.